My name is Mateo, and I'm 16 years old. I'm my parents' only child and their prized possession. They always told me that they'd be trying for years to have a child, and when they finally succeeded with me, they were overjoyed. It was great because I was spoiled rotten. I got whatever I wanted most of the time, and I was happy that I didn't have to share with any brothers or sisters. Ever since I was 2 years old, I had a babysitter named Macy. She didn't seem like the ordinary type of babysitter that my friends had, though. I realized this when my best friend Daniel came over to play video games. I was about 10 years old then. It got really late, and he decided he'd just sleep over. In the morning, Macy made us breakfast and brought it to my room. She was still wearing her pajamas. "Your babysitter sleeps here?" Daniel asked. "Yeah, is that strange? Isn't that how it is at everybody else's house?" I replied. He explained to me that babysitters usually had their own homes and left when a child's parents came back home. I was confused. I had never found it strange that she lived with us. Plus, my mom was always at work, so at least I had someone to spend time with me. She always treated me like I was so precious and fragile. We had a lot in common, too, and whenever she took me outside for walks, people would always exclaim that we looked similar. We both had black hair, green eyes, and a dimple on our left cheek. When I was a teenager, Macy stayed around. She would sometimes help me with my projects and make me snacks, but after a while, I began to question why I needed a babysitter at my age. This feeling got worse when I met my first girlfriend, Alicia. I'd been trying to get her attention for days, and when she finally agreed to go out with me, I was more excited than I had ever been in my life. We'd been going on several dates, but one night, I wanted to bring her home to watch a movie. "Mom, can my friend Alicia come over tomorrow night to watch a movie?" I asked. "Your father and I will be at a dinner party, but Macy can watch you," she replied. "Watch me? Mom, I'm 15. Why do I need a babysitter at my age? I'm old enough to stay home by myself," I whined. My mom refused to change her mind, so I had to change plans with Alicia. I obviously wasn't going to have my girlfriend thinking that I was some sort of baby. Daniel and I were still best friends, and I decided to talk to him about my situation. "Bro, I don't understand why I still have a babysitter." "You don't, do you?" I asked. "Of course not. Do you think I'm a kid?" "Well, maybe you can find a way to get rid of her," he said. "What do you mean, get rid of her? Like murder?" I said, my eyes opening widely. "No, you psycho. Do things to get on her nerves. Haven't you seen those movies where the kids are so annoying they scare their babysitters away so that they never come back?" he said. "Ah, that's not a bad idea. I'll start working on it. Thanks, Daniel," I said. I got to work that same day. First, I found some blue cheese and mixed it with ketchup, garlic. "Ah, that's not a bad idea. I'll start working on it. Thanks, Daniel," I said. I got to work that same day. First, I found some blue cheese and mixed it with ketchup, garlic powder, and a few onions. It smelled awful. I took this mixture and put it under her pillow when she wasn't looking. Later that night, I heard her scream and cry, and I knew that my plan had already started working. She'd have a hard time getting that smell out of her room. Next, I hid all her jewelry. I flushed some down the toilet, and I buried some in the garden. Then, I took all her favorite clothes and threw them all over the laundry room. I took a big bottle of bleach and poured it all over the clothes. "Macy, I've accidentally ruined all your clothes," I sang. She came into the room and gasped. I winked at her and left the room. Well, my pranks did nothing but get me grounded. My parents were absolutely horrified that their angelic baby boy could have done such awful things. Macy made no effort to move out, and I was back to square one. I decided I needed to create a more effective plan, but I didn't know how. One afternoon, while Macy was in the garden, I decided to search her room for anything interesting I could use against her to get her fired. While I was looking through her drawers, I found a little envelope. When I opened it, sure enough, there was a tooth there. Oh my God, I thought, is she some kind of witch? I put the envelope in my pocket and continued searching through the drawers. After a few minutes, I found another envelope with my name written on top. I opened it, and there were hundreds of pictures of me as a baby. They all had cute things written on the back, like Mateo's first steps or Mateo sat up for the first time. I took them all and waited for my parents to get home. When they did, I confronted everyone angrily. "Listen, Mom and Dad, I think that Macy is crazy. I found my baby tooth and a whole bunch of my baby pictures in her room. Is she a witch? Is she obsessed with me? I don't know what it is, but it's disgusting and I don't like it, I screamed. Mateo, why were you snooping in Macy's room? My mom asked. To prove to you that she needs to get out of here. I don't need a babysitter, I said. And you've been playing such horrible pranks on her lately. Now you're going through her stuff without permission? Do you know that is a crime? You're grounded for a month and you're not allowed to watch TV or use the internet, my dad said. Macy just sat there quietly. I couldn't even read her expression. I threw the envelopes I was holding on the floor, walked to my room, and slammed the door. During the time I was grounded, I had a lot of time to think to myself. Late one night, I began to think about how kind Macy had been to me all my life. She'd been there for me more than my own parents, and she really didn't deserve such awful treatment. What kind of person had I become? We had so much in common, too. I always felt happy and comfortable around her. Did have a lot of time to think to myself. Late one night, I began to think about how kind Macy had been to me all my life. She'd been there for me more than my own parents, and she really didn't deserve such awful treatment. What kind of person had I become? We had so much in common, too. I always felt happy and comfortable around her. Did I really want to get rid of her just to impress some girls? I thought and began to have a change of heart. I decided to get up to check if she was still awake. I owed her an apology and I wanted to make it up to her. As I approached her room, I heard her voice. She sounded like she was crying and talking on the phone. In between sobs, I managed to make out a few words. My son, he hates me, and I don't know what to do about it. I've been by his side, supporting him for his whole life, but now he wants nothing to do with me. He's been playing some awful pranks. It's like he wants me to leave. I don't know what to do. I've never been this sad, she said, and started crying again. I froze in shock. Things started to make sense suddenly. This was why we were so alike, and why I could barely relate to the woman who called herself my mom. But who was she? What was all of this? I was confused. I decided not to talk to Macy that night. I waited until the morning after my parents had already gone to work. I approached her while she was in the kitchen washing the breakfast dishes. Macy, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I don't know what got into me, I said. Macy looked at me and smiled. It's okay. Teenagers do weird things. I understand, she replied. Last night, I heard you talking on the phone and I wanted to ask you about something. Are you my real mother? I asked. She looked startled for a while, then said, I wasn't on the phone last night. And what do you mean? Are you okay? You don't have to pretend anymore. I feel it too. We have so much in common. I look like you. We do many things alike. Would you please tell me the truth and explain this all to me? I begged. I don't know what you're talking about, she said and left the room. In my confusion and anger, I went to my room and packed a bag. I wrote a note and left it on the kitchen counter. It said, I know the truth, but I want everyone to come clean with me. I won't come back home until all of you are honest. I left home in a rage. I didn't even know where I was going. After walking around town for a while, I decided to call Daniel. Hey, I think I just ran away from home. Can I stay with you for a while? I asked. Why did you run away? What's going on? Are you out of your mind? Okay, come over and we'll talk about it, he answered. I went to his house and made sure that nobody there saw me. I needed my parents to believe that I had disappeared. I told Daniel everything. He was shocked, but he understood why I left home. You can stay for a while, I guess, but I don't know how long I'll be able to hide you here. I put my phone on airplane mode, so what you're talking about, she said, and left the room. In my confusion and anger, I went to my room and packed a bag. I wrote a note and left it on the kitchen counter. It said, I know the truth, but I want everyone to come clean with me. I won't come back home until all of you are honest. I left home in a rage. I didn't even know where I was going. After walking around town for a while, I decided to call Daniel. Hey, I think I just ran away from home. Can I stay with you for a while? I asked. Why did you run away? What's going on? Are you out of your mind? Okay, come over and we'll talk about it, he answered. I went to his house and made sure that nobody there saw me. I needed my parents to believe that I had disappeared. I told Daniel everything. He was shocked, but he understood why I left home. You can stay for a while, I guess, but I don't know how long I'll be able to hide you here. I put my phone on airplane mode so my parents would have no way to contact me. It was easy to dodge Daniel's parents. Whenever I heard anyone approaching the room, I'd just hide in the closet and wait for the noises to pass. The first night, my parents called Daniel and his parents to find out if they had seen me. Daniel pretended that he had no idea where I was. He told me that they had already gone to the police and that many people were out searching for me. The next day was quiet. I stayed in Daniel's room while he went to school and tried to be as silent as possible. In the afternoon, he came back and told me that everyone at school was worried. I won't lie, this all kind of made me feel important. He went downstairs to have dinner, and I hoped he'd bring some for me as I was starting to feel very hungry. After about an hour, he rushed into the room and said, "Hey, your parents are on the news. Quick, let's turn this on." He turned on his TV, and I saw my mom, my real mom, and my dad. My dad spoke first. "Mateo, I hope you don't mind that we're doing this live, but we have no choice. We don't know where you are, but we hope that you hear this. Many years ago, your mom discovered that she couldn't have children. Macy volunteered to be the surrogate mother. We didn't have the heart to send her away after you were born. You had already developed a special bond, and we didn't want to destroy that, so we employed her as your babysitter." Macy spoke next. "I'm sorry for not being honest with you, but this was an agreement I made with your parents. I carried you, and I'm your biological mother, but I don't want